Properties of Real Numbers by Ayushi, Aksha, and Kareem. Yay.
The commutative property of addition is the property that states the sum is unaffected despite the order in which the terms are added. As you can see, the problem below is 3.9 plus 2.5 equals 6.4, and 2.5 plus 3.9 equals 6.4. The problems shown below are the same. The only difference is the order in which the digits are displayed. The numbers can be added in any order, and the sum will stay the same. Associative property of addition. Property that states the grouping of the numbers in different orders results in the same sum in an addition operation. 20 plus 8 plus 12 equals 40. 8 plus 12 plus 20 equals 40. The numbers can be grouped in different ways, and the sum will stay the same. The identity property of addition. Property that states the sum of 0 and any number or variable is this number or variable itself. 2 1/7 plus 0 equals 2 1/7. If you add 0 to any number, the sum is that number. Inverse property of addition. Property that states that the sum of a number and its negative number is equal to 0. It is called the inverse property of addition. In other words, if you add a number and its opposite, the sum is 0. 15 plus negative 15 equals 0. Negative 15 plus 15 equals 0.
What do I say? Commutative property of multiplication. Property that states the product is unaffected despite the order in which the factors are multiplied. 13 times 9 equals 117. 9 times 13 also equals 117. The numbers can be multiplied in any order, and the product will stay the same. Associative property of multiplication. Property that states the grouping of the numbers in different orders results in the same product in a multiplication operation. 11 times 3 times 2 equals 66. 3 times 2 times 11 equals 66. The factors can be grouped in different ways, and the products will stay the same. Identity property of multiplication. Property that states the product of one and any number or variable is the number or variable itself. 1 times 315 equals 315. When one of the two factors is 1, the product of the other factor. When one of the two factors is 1, the product is the other factor. Inverse property of multiplication. Property that states a number and its reciprocal is multiplied, the product is equal to 1. 8 times 1/8 equals 1. If you multiply a number by its reciprocal, the product will be 1. Distributive property of multiplication. Property that states that multiplying a sum by a number is the same as multiplying each addend by the number and then adding the products. Here you have 8 times 10 plus 9 in parentheses. The first step is to distribute the s to the 10 and 9. Then you take the two sums and add them together. The final sum is 152. Zero property of multiplication. Property that states multiplying a number by 0 will result in the product of 0.
Okay, which real number property is used below? 33 plus 28 equals 61, and 28 plus 33 equals 61.
A commutative, B associative, C inverse, D distributive.
The first thing you notice about this problem is that the sum are the same. The second is the fact that both problems have the same addends. It's just that the order is switched around. So this property has to do with the order in which the terms are added. Looking back to our properties, the commutative property of addition, the property that matches this problem. Some people tend to get confused with the commutative property and associative property. The difference is that the associative property has to do with the grouping of the numbers. Which real number property is used below? 10 plus 13 plus 2.5 equals 10 plus 13 plus 2.5. A. Commutative. B. Associative. C. Inverse. B. Distributive. Oops, I meant D. So if you look at the problem below, the only thing that changed is the grouping of the numbers and the parentheses. If you look back to the associative property of addition, the definition is it has to do with the grouping of the numbers. Which real number property is used below? 23 plus 0 equals 23. A. Commutative. B. Identity. C. Inverse. D. Distributive. Looking at the problem below, we are adding 23 by 0. Our sum is 23. In this operation, the sum will result in the number being added by 0. In this case, the number being added by 0 is 23. The property used here is the identity property of addition. Which real number property is used below? Negative 28 plus 28 equals 0. A. Commutative. B. Identity. C. Inverse. D. Distributive. Here, we are adding negative 28 and 28. You should be aware that these numbers are opposites. The opposite of positive 28 is negative 28. And the opposite of negative 28 is positive 28. So in this problem, we are adding two opposite numbers and getting 0 as our sum. Looking back to our properties, we can see that the inverse property of addition matches this addition problem. Going back to adding and subtracting integers, we know that adding two numbers with different signs can be solved by subtracting both numbers and using the sign of the number with the greater value. Which real number property is used below? 16 times 9 equals 144. 9 times 16 equals 144. A. Commutative. B. Identity. C. Inverse. D. Distributive. Just like example 1, both products in this multiplication problems are the same. So are the factors that are being multiplied. It's just that the order in which they are being multiplied is switched around. The property being used here is commutative property of multiplication. Which real number property is used below? 9 times 2 times 1 equals 18. 9 times 2 times 1 equals 18. A. Commutative. B. Identity. C. Inverse. D. Associative. Again, similar to example 2, the products in both operations are the same. The factors being multiplied are the same too, but the grouping of the digits has been changed. Therefore, the property represented is the associative property of multiplication. Which real number property is used below? 3,987 times 1 equals 3,987. A. Commutative. B. Identity. C. Inverse. D. Associative. Firstly, we know that 3,987 is being multiplied by 1. When you multiply a number by 1, you get the same number back. When multiplying by 1, the result will always be the number being multiplied by 1. The identity property of multiplication states that when one of the two factors is 1, the product is the other factor. So our answer is B. Which real number property is used below? 3 times 0 equals 0. A. Commutative. B. Identity. C. Inverse. D. 0. This example probably the easiest. We are multiplying 3 by 0 to get 0 as the product. 0 as our product. The zero property of multiplication proves that when one of two factors are 0, the product is 0. So therefore, the answer is D. Zero property of multiplication. Which real number property is used below? 55 times 1 over 55 equals 1. A. Commutative. B. Identity. C. Inverse. D. 0. In this operation, we are multiplying 55 by 1 over 55 to get 1. How are 55 and 1 over 55 related, you may ask? Well, 1 over 55 is 55's reciprocal. Multiplying a number by its reciprocal will always result in 1. The inverse property of multiplication is the property used in this example. Which real number property is used below? 16 times 9 plus 2 equals 16 times 9 plus 16 times 2. A. Commutative. B. Identity. C. Distributive. D. 0. Note that 16 times 9 plus 16 times 2 is the same as 16 times 9 plus 2. This is because 16 is being distributive to 9 and 2. We are multiplying the factor by each added and then adding the two products together. The property is clearly distributive property combining both multiplication and addition.